Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Pain, I Am, out May 17th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 11 tracks, 41 minutes in length, and this is the band's 9th full-length studio album. They are a Swedish industrial metal band. When you look at the design of this record, you're going to find an album that's made out of 11 individual songs, and I really mean that. This record has this sense of individuality to it that creates some chaos and obviously brings some diversity with it. This is not one of those records where the individual songs are working towards the collective. It's more about the individual journeys and the individual paths that each and every single song gives you. Obviously, there are elements that connect the record, that connect these songs, but it's not really about that. It's about enjoying the moment that you're in. It's about enjoying the creative process that each song had in order to come to where they are. And once you take the time to really appreciate each track and you try to find less of a connection between them, the album overall becomes a lot better. The experience becomes better. The record becomes more enjoyable. It becomes more of a fun experience to be within each and every single song without really having to worry about what came before and what comes after. It's an album that you have to live in the moment. As far as the sound is concerned, obviously the core sound of the band, the electronic sound, the industrial sound is there, but this to me feels like a record about the creativity and where that creativity is taking you. Those two elements of their sound obviously become the common denominators and the predominant factors throughout the entire album, but this is a record that brings other influences like rock and even goth to certain extents in order to make songs a little bit more textured, in order to make songs a little bit richer, and in order to give quality to the overall experience of this album. Not thinking that there are barriers, that are boundaries as far as creativity is concerned. This record really showcases that there's no such thing as a bad idea as long as that idea results in something fun, exciting, something that you can connect with. Even if that something is slightly outside the box of where everything else resides. Sound-wise, this album really feels like that. It's controlled chaos to a certain extent with great production behind it that allows the overall textures of the sound, the overall individualities of the elements within that sound to really come to the forefront, and you see them coming alive on every single track, allowing this record to feel very robust. It's an album that has big volume, that it has big sound, but it doesn't lose itself within itself. It has definition within that same sound. And obviously the electronic side plays a huge role. It plays a role in terms of making some songs more melodic. It plays a role in making some songs a little bit more industrial, and even plays a role in terms of some of the goth dark vibes that a few tracks on this record offer you. So it's a very dynamic element with different faces, with different sides, with different executions that obviously offer you different end results. But just because the electronic side of this record is so predominant, it doesn't mean that the other elements are forgotten. I really enjoyed the drum sound and the guitar sound on this record, more so the drum sound than the guitar sound. I feel like the drums on this album help the overall texture of the sound, the overall texture of the songs. They felt very powerful, but they also felt very rich. Like they were almost a heartbeat within the overall essence of this record, of the sound of this album. The guitars connect well both with the drums, a little bit on the heavier side, but they also connect really well with electronic elements, specifically when the songs take more of a dark industrial turn. You need those guitars to bring in a certain aroma that enhances the electronic experience behind it and emphasizes it. So the guitars had that ability to merge with one or the other depending on where the mood of the song was taking you. Now, as far as the vocals are concerned, they are as dynamic as the sound on this record is. And I really enjoyed the creativity behind the vocal performance on this album. The mood of the song was well represented in the way the vocals were delivered, not afraid of trying different things, of going outside the box, but always thinking about what does this song need and how can we make this song better, versus trying to have a one-size-fits-all, which I honestly don't think is the DNA of the band either. This has always been a band that's not afraid of looking outside, of bringing different influences, of creating something completely unique and something different, merging different styles, different sounds, technical, electronic with metal, industrial, goth, rock, all of these things together in order to make fun songs to listen to. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what this album is. a fun record to listen to. It's a joyful ride. And when you look back in the day, if you're as old as me and you remember some of the old school records, like from Queen, for example, or even the Beatles, those albums had this same sort of dynamic in terms of offering you individual snapshots of the band and the individual songs that they created within a record cycle. This album has a little bit of that DNA, and the band has a little bit of that DNA when it comes to not pigeonhole every single song into the same characteristics and allowing the album to kind of have a life of its own. This record definitely has that life, and if they're going to make us wait 8 years for the next record, and the next record is going to sound as good as this one, I'm more than willing to wait. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Don't Wake the Dead. This is, bar none, one of my favorite songs, if not the favorite song on the entire record. I love the dark goth sound that this song has, specifically coming out of the string arrangements, a track that still has that electronic industrial essence to it, more clean and controlled in the verses, allowing the vocals to fill in the space a little bit better, and then bringing those same strings, bringing that electronic industrial presence into the chorus, allowing the song to go from 0 to 100 in a very short period of time. This versus chorus dynamic makes the song feel very volatile, but it also gives it a lot of movement. It has great texture across all the entire sound. It has an amazing, memorable chorus, very melodic, very dark, very hooky, if you will, both vocally and musically. Next, we have Not For Sale. A very techno intro is how this song starts, not just musically, but even vocally. It has a very techno atmosphere in the way that it opens, getting the listener into a party vibe from the get-go. Then you start to see that electronic element moving into a certain degree into the vocal performance, into the vocal delivery, allowing the song to have this nice ambiance to it that has that party vibe, that has that party mood. And it also offers a sense of simplicity with it, which overall makes the entire track feel a lot more memorable. This is a straightforward song. It's not a complicated track. It's not an overly textured track. It's not a track that has a lot of layers for you to peel. What you see as it starts is what you see as it goes, and all the way to the end. I love this almost opening up the dance floor, let's have a great time, party style song from this record. Last but definitely not least, Fair Game. This is the closing track on the record, a little bit of a ballad, and I'm going to go as far as to say this song has some Beatles vibe. I'm not saying this song sounds like a Beatles song, but when I listen to certain Beatles tracks, specifically songs that have more of this mood, more of this stripped down effect, I see some resemblances of how those songs connect with me as a listener to how this song connected to me as a listener. It has a dark undertone. It's drenched in pain, if you will. No pun intended. It just has that sort of ambiance to it. It's a sound that it's rich, that it's texture, that has a calming experience at times, but it also has a beautiful and dark undertone in others. The keys throughout this track are phenomenal. They're really beautiful, and as beautiful as the vocal warmth of the vocal delivery is from beginning to end. This is it, Pain, I Am, out May 17th on Nuclear Blast. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section, and I'll see you all at the next one. Take care, guys.